Hey, hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel Stats with Ahili, your favorite place to make statistics make sense, right? So, here I'm Ahili Bhattacharya, your stats buddy, and today we are going to study fitting of Poisson distribution. Now, we already know what is Poisson distribution, right? So, but before try to fit it to real data, we are going to do this recap a little bit more rigorously because we need to understand each and every step why we are doing things, like why we are using this formula and what this formula consists of these terms like e to the power minus lambda and lambda to the power x by x factorial and everything, like why we are using these terms. We are going to understand that too in this video. Okay, so first we are going to understand what is Poisson distribution, then it's PMF, then we will come to the recurrence relation, and then we will go step by step on how to fit it to real data. So, yes, but before starting up with directly Poisson distribution, I want to start with a few questions. I want to ask you. See, have you ever wondered how many messages you will get in the next hour? Like you're fixing the time interval, okay? If you fix the time interval and then ask how many events, that rare events occurring in that time interval, then unknowingly you are trying to do Poisson distribution. Like you just don't know the name it, but you are running it in your brain. So that is what I'm trying to explain you. What is Poisson distribution? Now let us build that intuition a little bit more on with imagination, with real life situation. See, suppose you are imagining that. Just imagine that you are working at a bakery, okay, on a small bakery, and on average, three customers come in every 10 minutes. Now you cannot exactly say when each of the customer will arrive, right? Like sometimes two come in, sometimes five, and maybe sometimes zero, but the average will stay around three. This Poisson distribution will tell you the probability of any of those counts happening. All right, and that is it, and that is the magic of Poisson distribution. That is what Poisson does to you, helps you find out these kind of questions. Now there are three conditions on when to apply Poisson distribution. Like when these three things are happening, then you know that this is the time that I will apply Poisson distribution. All right, first is that events happen independently. Like one customer walking in does not influence the next. Okay, next is events happen at a constant average rate. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that here we need a constant average rate. Like the bakery averages three customer per 10 minutes, right? Every morning, if I say that in every morning, three customers come in within 10 minutes. That is my average rate for my bakery. So that is what we already can say from the data which is given to us, right? But sometimes the data will not be given to us. Like in many textbook problems I have seen that the lambda is not given to us. So how do we then calculate it? But we need the average rate, right? So you can not just think that if you are given the average, then only you will use a Poisson distribution. That is what we did for the not fitting part. But when you're trying to fit a distribution, then you can also think like this, that if it is not given, then you can calculate the mean. Okay, which is the average rate, right? So when you can calculate or estimate the mean, then you can apply it to Poisson distribution. So that is a little thing which I wanted to say. Okay, now coming to the third condition. Third condition is that two events cannot happen at the same exact instant. Like basically what I'm trying to say is that you cannot have two customers coming in through that door at literally at the same millisecond. This cannot happen. Okay, now you can also think about like this, like a very sweet memory which is coming to me. That is, when I was a little kid, when it was raining outside, I used to stick up my hand to feel the rain. Okay, now just think like this: the raindrops are falling in your hand, but independently. Okay, like the drops per rate, the drops per minute are is the average data. Now you can see if it is in a real life situation, what I'm talking about is that two drops do not fall at the same exact time at the same exact spot. That is where the Poisson territory comes in. Okay, so that is just what I used to do, and it just came into my mind, and I just said that here you can apply Poisson distribution. You can apply the drops per minute. You will get that average rate, and these drops are independent. And even the third condition also applies, that it cannot happen at the same exact time at the same exact instant. same exact spot. Okay, so basically, uh, if anybody has done it from you, then you can relate. Anyway, coming to Poisson distribution, and here I was talking about, here in this Poisson distribution, see, we have only one parameter. Okay, that one star show is our lambda. The entire distribution is controlled by this one parameter, which is lambda, written like lambda. Where can I show you? Wait, here, this lambda, can you see that this is our parameter for Poisson distribution. Now what is this lambda? Lambda here is our mean, and which is the average number of events occurring in that interval of time. Okay, for example, which we were already considering, that is our bakery example, that their lambda is equals to 3, because we were considering that the average rate is equals to 3, right? So this one number will tell us everything. It's like the DNA of this distribution, because if we know lambda, then we can calculate anything about that question. Okay, now coming to the formula, which is probability mass function. Now as you can see, this formula is actually very important and very uh, something which you need it all through statistics. Okay, all through the distributions part, like wherever you use, you for even for mean, variance, or mgf or fitting, anywhere you will use Poisson distribution, you would need this probability mass function, that is the p of x, right? So here you can see that probability of capital X equals to small x is equals to e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x by x factorial. Now you just need to learn this formula. Okay. Now see here, x running from 0 to infinity. Now if you break every single piece down, then what you see is that we see this e here. What is this e? E is the Euler's number. That is basically 2.71828. Okay, but you do not need to remember this number, because you will have calculator in your hands, right? So you do not need this number to memorize. But anyway, this is just an information that e here is the Euler's number, but you can think of it as a mathematical constant, just that. Okay, like for here, e is used for growth and decay problems. Okay, like it appears here because the Poisson distribution comes from an exponential model. When you will study the continuous distribution, then we will see the relation or the same same relativeness between Poisson distribution and exponential distribution. Okay, anyway, coming to this formula, that is, what is here, what is the lambda here? Lambda is our average rate, which is the mean. Okay, this is the number we know from our data or from the problem statement. Like if the data, if the lambda is already given in the problem statement, then you can directly write the lambda from there. And if it is not given, then you can calculate it or estimate it from the data itself. All right, I will teach you how to do that. Okay, what is the x here? X is the specific count we want the probability for. Like for example, for x equals to 0, which means for 0 events. For x equals to 3, it means that exactly 3 events, and this will go on. And why are we using this x factorial term? X factorial is used because this accounts for the number of ways these events can be arranging themselves. Or it can be better said like, this accounts for the number of ways events can arrange themselves. All right. Now see here, I have a little small observation which I made when looking at this formula. See, for this e to the power minus lambda, what is this basically? This is basically, the higher your lambda is, the smaller this term becomes. For very high x values, it will pull the probability down. And for lambda to the power x, that is the power term here, because it grows as x matches the expected count. So because, here we can say that together they beautifully balance each other, right? So yes, that is a little observation which I made. Now coming to our next part, which is our mean and variance. Now this is something which we already know from our previous classes. That is the fact about Poisson distribution, that mean and variance is same, which is like that is why Poisson distribution is loved by every statistician, right? Because here, if I say that lambda equals to 3, this means that mean is 3 and variance is also 3. Now this makes the Poisson distribution one of the most elegant in all of statistics, I must say that. Like one number will rule all. Now, here you can see to remember as a shorthand, that is expectation of x is equals to variance of x is equals to lambda. Now, here I must explain you with an analogy which will stay in your mind like forever. See, in most distributions, mean and variance are like strangers living separate lives, okay? But in Poisson distribution, they're identical twins. If you know one, you know the other. It's as if someone said in like real life situation, if I real life example, if I say that like if somebody says that in my city the average rainfall is 5 mm and the spread of the rainfall also measures 5 millimeter. Now that is what we can call the perfect symmetry of information, where we which we also see in this Poisson distribution, right? Now coming to the most important part of our today's class, that is the recurrence relation, because that is what we are trying to learn in our video, right? That is the fitting of the Poisson distribution, but for that we need the recurrence relation. Now why do we need the recurrence relation? Now if you have this kind of question that why are we even studying recurrence relation, because we already know the PMF, we can find the values from there. Now see, if I give you a real problem, if I say that lambda is equals to 0.61, which we will do it today, okay, this problem we will do it today. If I give you that lambda is equals to 0.61 and I ask you to find P of 0, P of 1, P of 2, P of 3, P of 4, okay? Now, you can use the PMF formula every single time, but you computing e to the power minus 0.61 over and over. You need to calculate the factorials, multiply the powers. Like, I am not saying that it is not doable. It is definitely doable, but it is so slow and painful process, right? But that is the thing, it is very slow and messy process. That is when mathematicians found this shortcut, this recurrence relation, because I must say that this is such a beautiful relation and this makes a calculation so fast, okay? Now see here in this part in the slide, you can see that I have derived the recurrence relation so that you do not have any kind of difficulty in understanding. But for this recurrence relation, I have definitely shown the part here, but I will try and make you understand. If I write it better, write it, and then you will understand it better, right? So let me change the screen for just a little while and then I will come back to these slides, okay? Just a moment. Okay, so as you can see, what is our recurrence relation, which we have already learned in our previous video of fitting of binomial distribution, right? There we again we studied what is about recurrence relation. It is like the ratio is p of x plus 1 by p of x. Now we already know what is p of x, right? What is p of x? Let me write it with another color. So what is P of x? P of x is basically our PMF of Poisson distribution, right? Which is e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x by x factorial. Okay. Now then what is P of x plus 1? P of x plus 1 will be, P of x plus 1 will be what? It is just, we will substitute this x with x plus 1. Then let me write it. What is it? I'm sorry. Yes, e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x plus 1 by x plus 1 factorial. And here, what are we asked? We are asked to divide this part to this part. Okay, so let us do that. Coming to the question, e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x plus 1 by x plus 1 factorial divided by e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x by x factorial. Right? That is our formula. That is our question. Now, how do we do it? Let us see. We can see, let us first write in the multiplication form e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x plus 1 by x plus 1 factorial into x factorial by e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x. Now here you can see that e to the power minus lambda into e to the power minus lambda gets cancelled, and you can also notice this from here that lambda to the power x and lambda to the power x plus 1. Now see, if I just take a number for this, then you will understand it better. For example, see, our let us say that x equals to 5. Then what will be this number? The denominator will be lambda to the power 5, and what will be the numerator? It will be lambda to the power x plus 1, which is 5 plus 1, which is 6. Now here, how do you basically divide? It is when we have the same base, then you can say that lambda to the power 6 minus 5, right? This, when this goes up, Then what are we getting? Lambda to the power 1, and lambda to the power 1 is basically lambda only. Then from here, just by using a number, we can understand it better. So basically this part and this part gets cancelled to get lambda, only lambda. And you can see that this lambda to the power x factorial and x plus 1 factorial. Now how can we write x plus 1 factorial? We can also write x plus 1 into x factorial, right? So if I write this, then we can see that x factorial and x factorial gets cancelled. Then the what is basically we are getting from here? We are getting from the numerator, we are getting only lambda, and in the denominator we are getting x plus 1. Okay, so basically what is our now I'm just turning over the page to fitting of binomial partial distribution. So yes. Okay, so I have shared the tab. Now you can see what is given here as p of x plus 1 by p of x. What I have already derived, that is x by lambda by x plus 1, right? And here, if I just cross multiply this p of x to in the right hand side, then we get what? P of x plus 1 is equals to lambda by x plus 1 into p of x. Now basically, why did we multiply here? Here, what is our recurrence relation basically trying to say us? It is saying that if we know the previous number, we can estimate, we can calculate the next number. Now see, if I know p of x, then we can calculate p of x plus 1. So basically, what is the first step? That is what recurrence relation is all about. You can see the recurrence relation formula here. P of x plus 1 is equals to that. Okay, now that is our recurrence relation formula. And what is our next step? Next step is that p of 0, we have to first calculate p of 0 to understand the next values. Then we can calculate p of 1, p of 2, p of 3, and whatever number we want, okay, in that series. Now see, let me come to the next part, how to find p of 0. Okay, you can see this part. Now see, that is our starting point, p of 0. Now see, the recurrence relation basically needs a starting point, right? Like a chain needs its first link. That starting point is p of 0. And p of 0 is very simple. We just need to plug x equals to 0 into the PMF. Now, what was the PMF? E to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x by x factorial. Instead of x, you're going to write 0. Okay, so if you do that, then what you can see that lambda to the power 0 is 1 and 0 factorial is again 1. So basically what you're getting is that e to the p of 0 is equals to e to the power of minus lambda, and that is it. Just one number to look up in a table or compute on your calculator, and then everything else follows from the recurrence. It is so simple, right? Because in this Poisson distribution, it is very easy for us to calculate it, because in p of 0, if we know only p of 0, that is e to the power minus lambda, then we can calculate the rest of the numbers. So now we will understand how to estimate lambda from the data. That is what we are going to study today. Okay, now if you want to estimate this lambda, why are we estimating it? Because it is not given in our problem statement, right? Like in real life, a textbook problem sometimes gives you the data but not the lambda. No problem, okay, we will estimate it using this sample mean lambda hat, which means our estimate of lambda equals to x bar. Now what is x bar here? X bar is the sample mean, and x bar is just the weighted average. It is basically sum of x times frequency divided by total frequency. All right, so what you can see here is that lambda is equals to summation of xi fi divided by summation fi. Now summation fi can also be written as n, capital N, right? So what is capital N? It is equals to summation of fi. Now basically after this, we know the lambda. Now we can estimate the average rate. Now we want the expected frequencies, because in our problem we will be given the observed frequencies, because it is about real data, right? So when we know about the real data, then we can then we have to find if it is a good fit. Then we need to know what is the expected frequencies, right? So once we have our probabilities, we need the expected frequencies, which is basically how many times we would expect each count to appear in our sample. Okay. Now, if the distribution is truly Poisson, the formula is beautifully simple, as you can see in the screen, right? That is, expected frequency is equals to capital N into P of X. Now, what is capital N? It is basically our summation of Fi, right? So, okay. Now n is the total number of observation, as you can see, and then we multiply each probability by n, then round to the nearest whole number, since frequencies always whole numbers. Okay, they are not in fractions or in decimals. Now here you can see the steps to fit a Poisson distribution. Now you can read the steps from here. You have to first find the lambda, then you need to compute the p of 0, then you need to do what, apply the recurrence relation to find the rest of the values, and then you need to find the expected frequencies. Now see, this is the example which we are going to do in today's class. In this example, we are not given the lambda. We will estimate the lambda, and then we will compute p of 0, and then we will use the recurrence relation to find the rest of the numbers, and then we will match the expected frequency and the observed frequency. And then if it is a good fitting, then we can see that the numbers are getting closer, are similar to each other. Okay, so that is what we are going to do in today's class. So next coming up is that this part. As you can see, this is the summary table. This is the expected frequency and observed frequency, we are matching it, and then we have this part. Okay, we will come to the key formulas at the end of the video. So coming to our question, let me switch the tab to my genre. Okay, just a minute. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so what was our problem? Our problem was that a publisher checks a 200-page book for printing mistakes. Now, for each page, they record how many mistakes appear. Okay, so let me write the number of mistakes per page and the number of pages. In the question, you will write it like this: number of mistakes per page, and then number of pages. I can use a scale here that will be very useful for me. Okay. So, what are the values? I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so screen visible? Yes. Okay. Number of mistakes per page. So, first is we have 0 to 4. Okay. So, let us divide 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is looking very bad, I know, but because I'm drawing freehand, I could have used a scale though. Okay, let me use a scale to draw this, draw the lines. That would look pretty clean. Okay, I've erased it. Anyway, coming to the scale, yes. Okay, done. A clean table which we have formed, and now we're going to write the number of pages it has. Oh, I have not done this part. Anyway, this line is nice. Okay, coming to number of mistakes per page. For 0 mistakes per page, how many pages are there? That is, first our value is 109, and for 1 mistake per page it is 65. Then for 2 it is 22. Then for 3 it is 3, and for 4 it is only 1. So in one page there are 4 mistakes. That is how you want to read this table. Okay, now here you are asked to fit a Poisson distribution to this data. So what is our first step? First step is to basically estimate the parameter. Now how do you estimate the parameter here? That is the lambda hat you need to estimate, right? So for this you need to first find the x bar, which is the summation of xi fi by summation of fi. Now, what is the summation of xi5? Which is basically 0 into 109 plus 1 into 65 plus 2 into 22 plus 3 into 3 plus 4 into 1 divided by all the frequencies. 109, summation of all the frequencies, 109 plus 65 plus 22 plus 3 plus 1. All right, so what are we getting? Which we are getting basically 122 by 200, which is equals to 0.61. That is our lambda hat. this is what we have estimated, that is our average rate is 0.61. Okay, now see, for this data here we were not given the lambda, but we still know that we need to use the Poisson distribution, right? And that is basically how you need to understand in which question what you are asked, or in which distribution you must fit the data. All right, so next is our estimated lambda is 0.61, which we have got, that is our on average there are 0.61 mistakes per page. Now it makes sense, right? Like most pages, that is 109 out of 200. Sorry, I have used the highlighter. Yes, so 109 pages out of 200 have zero mistakes, right? So the average is pulled slightly above zero by the pages that do have mistakes. Now next is what? Next we want to calculate the which is the step 2 is to the recurrence chain. First recurrence relation which we need to find is that P of 0, which is equals to e to the power minus lambda. So let us write it. Okay. So P of 0 is basically e to the power minus lambda. And what is our lambda here? 0.61. So you will write e to the power minus 0.61, which is equals to 0.543. All right. Now, once you find the probability, then you need to find the expected frequency. Then for E of 0, what was our formula? It is n into P of x. What is n here? Which is the summation of fi, which is the frequencies. So n is 200 and p of x is what? 0.543. So just multiply 0.543 and then you get what is 108.6. 108.6 is basically can be approximated to 109. So this is our first expected frequency. Now coming, then we will use the recurrence relation to find that P of 1, P of 2, P of 3, and P of 4. Okay, so coming to what is our value given. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought the screen has gone away. Anyway, I was actually recording a video and then it went away that time. Okay, coming to this part, which is P of 1. P of 1, now P of 1, how can it be written? It can be written as P of 0 plus 1, which is where we can say that here 0 is our x, which is p of x plus 1 can be written as like this. So here if p of x plus 1 is this, then how will we write our formula? What was our formula for recurrence relation? It is this lambda by x plus 1 into p of x, it will be right. So for p of x plus 1, so basically, this is our formula, right? That is our recurrence relation formula. So let us do it. So for P of 0 plus 1, P of 1 can be written as P of 0 plus 1. Then we can write lambda by 0 plus 1 into P of 0, which is P of x. So basically here lambda into P of 0. And what is P of 0? It is 0.543. So we will write lambda is what? 0.61 into 0.543, which is basically equals to 0.331. Now we got the probability. Now we will find the expected frequency, which is E of 1 is equals to n into P of 1, which is equals to n is 200 into this probability, which is 0.331. So what are we getting here? We are getting 66.2. Now this 66.2 can be written as approximated as 66. Okay, so this is our expected frequency of number 1. Now coming to P of 2. How do we find the P of 2? P of 2 can be written as P of 1 plus 1, right? Now what is 1 plus 1? Here 1 is our x. So basically this can be written as lambda by 1 plus 1 into P of 1. So basically lambda by 2 into P of 1. Now, what is our P of 1? P of 1 is 0.331. So, we will calculate it like this. And what is our lambda? Lambda is your 0.61. 0.61 by 2 into 0.331. So, basically, if we calculate it, we will get 0.305 into 0.331, which can be written as 0.101. Okay. So, we got the probability. Now, we will find the expected frequency. So expected frequency of, we're finding for 2, right? E of 2 is equals to n into P of 2. which is 200 into 0.101, which can be written as, if you calculate this term, you will get 20.2, which can be approximated to 20. Okay, so this is for E of 2. And for E of 3, first you have to find, then are left with only P of 3 and P of 4, right? Okay, so P of 3 can be written as P of 2 plus 1. Here our x is 2, right? So we can write it like this: lambda by 2 plus 1 into P of 2, right? When we already know what is the value of P of 2. So basically 0.61 by 3 into probability of 2. What was our value which we got? That is 0.101. 0.101. So here what is the answer we are getting? 0.0205. Okay, so that is our answer for probability of 3. So P of 3. Then we need to find the expected frequency of 3. So that is basically n into P of 3, which is 200 into 0.0205, which is basically 4.1, which can be approximated to 4. So this is our E of 3. Now, okay, coming to P of 4. Okay, P of 4. Now, P of 4 can be written as P of 3 plus 1, which is basically lambda by 3 plus 1 into P of 3. So lambda by 4 into P of 3. And what is our lambda, which is 0.61 by 4? And what is our probability of 3, which is, we have just calculated, 0.0205. 0.0205. Okay, so for this we are getting what the answer is coming to be 0.00313. Okay, so this is our probability of 4. Then we need to find the expected frequency of 4, that is n into P of 4, which is 200 into 0.00313, which can be written as 0.63, and this can be approximated to 1. Okay, so every single expected frequency is close to its observed frequency. If we make a table, then you can understand it better. Like this tells us that Poisson distribution is an excellent fit for this printing mistake data. Like in a formal exam or research content, we would confirm this with another square test. Okay, square goodness of fit test, that is basically it is called. But visually the fit looks fantastic for here. Now we will make the table where we will write the observed frequency and the expected frequency, and then you can see that this matches the data very similarly, very close they are. Okay, let us see. First you need to make a column for x, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next is what P of x, which is the probability we have got. For the 0 part, we got 0.543. For 1, we got 0.331. For 2, we got 0.101. For 3, we got 0.205. And for 4, we got 0.00313. And the next column we will make is of the expected frequency or the observed frequency, anything. Let me write the expected frequency first, which we calculated. Expected frequency, like this is what we expect from this data. Okay, so what are the frequencies we got? First is 109, then 66. For 2 we got 20, then for 3 we got 4, and for 4 we got 1. Then if you see the total of it, for the total expected frequency, if you add up this sum, then you get what? 200. Okay, and now we will match with the observed frequency which we were given in the problem. Okay, so let us see for the observed frequency. In our observed frequency, we can see that our data was, let me write with a different color, 109, then 65, then I think 22, then 3, then 1. But here also our total was coming to be 200. Now the expected frequencies closely match with the observed frequencies, right? Now this confirms that Poisson is a good fit for this data. Good fit for this kind of data. Now basically here we have studied how to, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Now in this question we have done we have first estimated the lambda, if because lambda was not given to us, and then we did what, we have calculated the probability. First we did the p of 0, and then by reconciliation we found all these probabilities, and then we write the expected frequencies, and then we write the observed frequencies. Okay, and then we compare the two data and we see if they are closely related or not. If it is closely matching, then we can say that it is a good fit, and if it is not, then we would have said that it is not a good fit. Okay, now I am sharing my slide again to show you the quick summary part. Just a moment. Okay, I hope this is visible. So basically, here in this part, in the summary part, I'm just talking about the formula, right? Here the formula for PMF is p of x, which is e to the power minus lambda into lambda to the power x by x factorial, where x is running from 0 to infinity. Then what is our recurrence relation? It is p of x plus 1 is equals to lambda by x plus 1 into p of x, and our starting point is p of 0, which is e to the power minus lambda for Poisson distribution. And then we estimate the lambda. For estimating lambda, how do we do it? Which is lambda cap is equals to lambda cap or hat, whatever you say, is equals to x bar. X bar is our sample mean, which we calculate by summation of xi fi divided by summation of fi, and then we will calculate the expected frequencies, which is n into p of x. And the key property here is that mean is equals to variance is equals to lambda. And that is basically all for today. This is fitting of Poisson distribution completely from scratch with theory, intuition, derivation, and a full worked example where you do not know the lambda. So yes, I have possibly done everything what I could do for fitting of Poisson distribution. So if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. It generally helps more students find this channel. And you can of course drop your doubts or questions in the comments. I read every single one. And subscribe if you haven't already, because there's so much more statistics content coming your way. Okay, and until next time, keep counting, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next video with and yes, in the next video I think I'm going to start with continuous distribution, and that will be amazing because that is so much applicable to real life. Okay, anyway, this is all for today's class. Thank you for watching, and bye bye, and take care.